at the age of 18. It's not rare to find more than one mate, but it's not very common. Kenma, dominant Omega. Kuru, Alpha Bakuto, dominant Alpha Akashi, submissive Omega. As the story progresses, you'll learn more about the second gender of the main four and about the other characters. Kazum hated the summer. He hated how hot it would get, how much he would sweat, and how much his mom would nag him about getting out. However, he loved the fact that he got to play his video games every day without having to worry about school. Also, seeing that his birthday was around the corner, his mom was super anxious, preparing everything for Kozu's 18th. He couldn't care less about finding a mate. He just hoped it wasn't someone who wouldn't make him uncomfortable and allow him to play his games. Stay still. His mom persisted, as she tried to cut his hair properly. It's only been 3 weeks since summer break started. How did your hair grow out so fast? The Alpha complained. I don't know, Mom. Kazum sighed as he sat and waited patiently for his mom to cut and dye his hair, seeing that his blonde color was fading out. You know, Kaz, you look cute with your black hair. He rolled his eyes at her comment. He didn't care about looking cute. He wanted to not be like all those other mundanes. As summer continued, his routine remained the same. Wake up, play games, fall asleep on his game, wake up, etc. His mom would still nag him about eating and going outside for a walk. Obviously he ignored her, but today she decided to be even more annoying and plug out the Wi-Fi box and took away his offline games, kicked him out the house and told him to come back when it was dark. Well, I guess a little exercise wouldn't help. He would be starting college soon anyways, might as well get used to the outside. As he walked along the street, he saw a group of kids playing a bad basketball game with a net in the middle. He ignored him and continued walking, or so he thought, because the next thing he knew he was facing the floor with his head pounding. Did I kill him? The tall one screeched. No, Lev, I hope not. Strong arms picked him up and placed him in a nearby bench. Suddenly Kazum felt a shiver over his body. Hey, you okay? The one with black hair said. Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. He said as he rubbed his head and tried to get up. He failed miserably and just laid back down. At least it was dark now and he would have been able to play games when he got back home. Do you live close to here? I could help you get home. The tall one asked. He seemed to talk a lot even though he only said 2 statements so far. Kazum could already tell that he was gonna be a nightmare. I live close. Yeah, like a 20-minute walk. The tall one nodded and picked him up, said goodbye to his friends and started heading in the direction Kazum was coming from before they almost killed him. When they finally arrived at Kozu's house, he placed him gently on the ground. As soon as this happened, his mom came rushing out. My baby, who are you? His mom's tone changed instantly. She didn't like the smell of this Alpha. He was so basic. Oh, I'm Kozu. Didn't care about their conversation. Sand headed inside before he would hear his male's name. He was most definitely not going outside again. The final week of August rolled around and Kozu was packing his stuff into the car to go to college. He hated the fact that he had to wake up so early, but the college was about 2 hours away and his mom refused to drive him. He arrived early. He didn't know they didn't have any ceremony until the 30th and it was just the 26th, so he didn't miss anything, and even if he did, he wouldn't know. He unpacked his car until the bag carrier, he didn't know what to call it, and wheeled it into the elevator. His room was on the 2nd floor. Hopefully he got a view to the parking lot so he could see if any shits decided to puke or do it near his car. When he arrived at his room door, he was met with the most beautiful male he had ever seen. Then he was hit with the strongest hormones ever. He cleared his throat and they both looked up at him. Hi, Kozu said, trying to not start at the Omega in awe. The Omega blushed and got up off his Alpha's lap. He was quite tall, but not as tall or big like his Alpha. Hi, I'm Akashi Keiji. You must be my roommate. The pretty Omega stretched his hand out for Kozu to shake and his heart stopped a little. Yeah, nice to meet you. I'm Kazum Kenma. His eyes left the Omegas and he started looking at the Alpha. His demeanor changed instantly. What? Something in my face. The Alpha laughed, the piercing on his tongue showing just a little. No need to bite my head off, little one. I'm Kaudara Bakuto, Akashi's fiance. Nice to meet you. Kozu choked on his horrible oxygen that was occupying his capillaries and stood there trying to make sense of what he just heard. He was alone now in his dorm room because the 2 lovebirds went to get food. Kozu unpacked his bags and told his mom he had arrived, and then he visited the counselor to let them know that he was situated in his room and stuff. Kazum went back in his room and began to set up his gaming station and opened up COD. He hadn't played his game in a while and wondered if he had gotten rusty. Maybe 6 or 7 hours later Akashi came back, because a takeout bag was placed beside of Kenma on his desk. He looked away from his screen and the Omega smiled at him, which made him blush a little. His match was about to end anyways. He just needed to die. Yeah, he died. So, guessing you're a computer engineering major. Akashi asked as Kenma started looking through the bag. Seems like this Omega didn't have bad taste. Yeah, and animation. You. He looked up at the Omega waiting for his answer. I'm an art major. He said as he sat down on his bed, taking out his phone. Kozu hummed and continued to eat the meat cakes he found in the takeout bag. The conversation didn't continue as Akashi started to text away on his phone, probably to the guy from earlier. So Cody stuffed his rest of the food in his mouth and continued playing. The days passed by and it was finally time for the opening ceremony. Kozu was exhausted because he hadn't slept a wink last night or the night before. Well, ever since he came and he looked like absolute dog shit. He threw in a hoodie, a pair of shorts, took up his glasses and put his hair in a bun showing his undercut. He took up his phone and headphones and headed through the door. He continued walking towards the auditorium. The closer he got, the louder the noise got. He didn't care about this ceremony, he just wanted his schedule, but it was mandatory that every student attended. For what reason he had no idea. He was planning to just sit at the back, but the big alpha from before something waved him over. So he decided to go sit beside him. Morning Kenma, you look like ass. Want an energy drink? He asked, pointing at the bag at his feet, as Akashi was quietly snoring away in the alpha's lap. These two clearly love PDA. Kozu declined the offer and told the alpha to just touch him when this was over. He put his headphones over his head and hit start in the Shaman DLS Fontaine ambient 1 hour long background music so he could sleep. He woke up later to the smell of food and very loud laughter. He opened his eyes to see that he was in the cafeteria. I'm telling you, physics makes no sense. You should have done chemistry with me. A tall, familiar guy half yelled. The big alpha replied, physics is actually very easy. You're just a wimp. Kenma slowly got up and was met with the face of the beautiful Omega. Oh hi, you're awake. This made the conversation with the two alphas stop and they turned the attention to the Omegas. Why am I here? Why didn't you wake me up? He shot a glare to Kao, wishing he would just drop dead. Actually, I tried a lot of times. You just woke up and cursed me out, then went back to sleep. So I brought you here. Kenma looked around for his headphones and got up, ready to leave, but was stopped by a snicker. Normally he'd just ignore snarky comments, but it made him a little angry. Fuck off. That's there for a reason. He said, making them all look at him confused. I just thought your neck tattoo was awesome. Maybe he was just tired. He apologized and ran off, hoping to get hit by a car on his way to the dormitory. As Kazum continued to curse at himself for assuming that they all just magically hated him even though they just met, he felt a hand on his shoulder. Hey, wait. A voice said. He stopped and turned to see who was disturbing his session of self-hate. Sorry, well, for before all this when you got hit by the volleyball. He said, looking very pleased at himself. Kozu's eyes drifted to where the stranger's hand rested and he left it being removed. Sorry again, let's start over. My name is Kuru Tishchuro. It's nice to meet you. Kozu squinted his eyes at this weirdo, wondering if he should really be talking to him. He seemed like a nice guy, but Kozu wasn't very fond of alphas, or well, regular alphas, though he didn't really have my romantic or platonic interest in the big guy from earlier. He felt more comfortable seeing that they were both dominant, but this one smelled weird. Kazum. Kenma. Kozu said, not even meeting the black-haired male's gaze. Sometime felt weird about Kozu when he was around him, though this was just their second interact. The taller one hummed, apologized again, then walked off. Obviously Ken continued his little run walk until he arrived at his dorm room. Finally in the AC and finally with his games. He took off the hoodie he was wearing, revealing more tattoos and the tank top he had on underneath. Most of the tattoos were from games and animes, like the little cat he had on his bicep was from Amori, the centipede on his back from Tokyo Ghoul, and the birthday of Eren on his lower belly underneath his navel. He let his hair down, took up his headset and loading up Valorant. Again, as per usual, he drowned himself into his game, completely forgetting to take in his environment until he smelled something very strong and kinda sweet. He took off his headset, turned around and was met with the eyes of the big guy from earlier with a cake, a pudding, a pie, something that smelled familiar to Kazum. Brought for you and some soup on the table. Didn't want to chance the soup then startle you and burn you, so I brought the pie. Not sure if you ate yet. The others are out there eating. Would you like to join us? He said. Internally Kozu rolled his eyes. He had planned on ignoring this himbo and continue playing his game, but his disgraceful body betrayed him. His stomach let out the most painful sound, as if it was crying to Ken that it needed food. Sadly, Ken was out there sitting with these people he just met, eating some warm soup and other things he really didn't know, but they did taste good. Sick tat. Akashi said, which shocked Ken. He never expected Akashi to speak like that ever. Thanks. Ken said. He felt eyes on him and caught the big one observing this stomach, which was obviously weird even if Ken didn't mind it. Something wrong, Marshmallow? Ken asked, tilting his head and glaring at the himbo. No, I was just wondering what that mark was in your stomach. This seemed to have made the other two curious, which made Ken groan internally. He was planning on just being mean to this huge excuse of oxygen, but he didn't want to be mean to Akashi. He looked interested. So Ken got up and showed them the tattoo, probably, as he explained to them that it was the birthday of Eren Yeager, which Ken admired a lot. After this brief moment, the table remained quiet for the rest of the eating session, and Ken got to take a well-deserving shower, changed into this full black night set, put his hair down in a little bun, and decided it was best for him to get some sleep. His classes were gonna start in 2 days, so it was best for him to at least get a good night's rest.
The characters are HC. For this AU. I hope you like this video. Please leave a like and comment. Subscribe.